Okay, welcome back, everybody. SJJMAS number 14. 14, can you believe it? 3 in 1 night. This is the place to be. Accept no cheap imitations. Remember that. This is the real deal right here. And we've got it's an impromptu one. I wasn't planning on doing a third one tonight, but Stephen Broughton hit me up in my DMs and it's like this is like shuffling a deck of cards. We're getting them in the door and out the door. It's a Merry Christmas. So, Stephen Broughton, welcome to your first appearance on the SJJ channel and on the first SJJMAS. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Merry Christmas, everyone. Before I introduce myself, I just want to thank my parents, my family, my community for allowing me this opportunity to give me the education to be part of this movement, to be part of this. I wouldn't have got this far without my family, my wife. Just want to thank everyone. Yeah, I'm really honored to be here, SJJ. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that you know your place, at least. Okay. We are here by standing on the shoulders of giants, Stephen, to be fair. But it's
Yeah, no, absolutely.
a momentous occasion for us both, I guess. Wee Babu says 3 in 1 night. SJJ is the next Lily Phillips. We won't have any more of that from you, thank you, Wee Babu. So Stephen Broughton's here because Stephen Broughton is a passport bro. I'll introduce you. Hey, this is the thing that I don't like.
We had no prep. We had no prep for this, did we? We had no prep.
No prep. We've had zero discussion about what we're going to talk about. But I know what the topic's already going to be because we've talked about it on Twitter Spaces enough.
I've been sending SJJ dirty Russian rubles. So you know, I'm his paymaster.
Oh my God, we were talking.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding.
In the back room. Well, I've actually accused you of this in real life, haven't I? So, in the back room, whilst Stephen was just getting an avatar ready, I said to him, "The Kremlin really are stupid, aren't they? Because if they were smart, they'd already have me on the pay books. I mean, I'm still
I'm still waiting to get paid.
I'm still in the infancy. What are they thinking? Just imagine how cheaply I could be bought right now.
Yeah, £3, right? That's how much I donated.
If they have to wait, if they're this stupid that they wait another couple of years, imagine what the price is going to be then.
In a couple of years, it'll be £6. It'll be £6 to get your bus fare to work, isn't it? SJJ, just to get your bus fare, weekly bus.
No, I don't use buses, dude.
Oh, you drive? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a driver.
Okay.
I'm a driver. So
in your Tesla, you got a Tesla. You drive a Tesla.
I can't afford a Tesla, bro. I can't afford that. No. So I already know what the topic's going to be. I can introduce Stephen. Stephen is effectively a passport bro who's fled the country. He's gone and sought pastures elsewhere in based and traditional Serbia. And he believes that the West he is literally the meme of the West has fallen, right? Which basically, you know the meme, don't you?
I am the meme. Yeah.
In fact, let's get it. Let's get it up on the screen here, just so that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. This meme was actually drawn off Stephen. Here he is. If you would please consult the graphs, the West has fallen. Okay.
That's me. I am the chud. I'm the chud. No, I moved to Serbia 3 years ago.
Yes.
I did my analysis. I understood that the West is beyond repair at this stage, and there's no point trying to fight it. There is no solution. So we need to move to other countries where we can be allowed to embrace some kind of resemblance of our traditional values. And that's what I did. I work online. I have an online job, and I advocate for people to do the same because I think it's the only way we can actually secure an existence for our future. You know, that's just my take. Just look, I did the data analysis. Yeah, I am the typical chud at SJJ. I did this. I've got the spreadsheets. You know, I looked at the spreadsheets,
Yes.
and it didn't add up. Didn't add up.
If you would please consult the graphs, west equal fallen. Okay, we get it. So the thing is, I mean, I've told you advocate to other people to do this. Tell me why it's not running away. Well, it is running away, but why is it okay? Why is it? Why do you think people should run away, Stephen, and find, pastures elsewhere?
There's no future in the West for the white man. A white man that wants to raise a family and bring them up in a traditional sense. The West does not offer that anymore, and it's so systemic and ingrained in our culture due to liberalism that the only way out now would be to find countries, white countries, that can still give us that lifestyle, basically. So I'm looking at Eastern Europe. I think there's a huge contrast between education in terms of Eastern and Western Europe, and they don't have the same issues as we do in the West with immigration or the demographic decline. They do have a demographic decline in terms of birth rates and people leaving to get economic opportunities, but a lot of those people are now returning. So I think it's impossible to have a trad life in the West in 2024, and it's only going to
Isn't
get worse due to demographics.
when we talk about trad life, what are we even talking about there? Isn't that just a meme at this point?
I'm not even saying trad life. I'm just saying having a house or buying a property with a garden and having children. I think that isn't even that. I mean, that might even be considered trad now, right? Having a house as a white man, it might be considered trad, because if you look at property ownership, it's most young males now in the West cannot afford to buy a house. And if you want to raise a large family, or even just like 3 or 4 children, or even 2 children, you're not going to be able to do it because of the housing crisis in the UK, especially where I'm from, obviously. So, yeah. And obviously you've
Yeah,
got the
alone.
education on top of that. You've got the education on top of that. You've got the anti-white education. We're bringing in a million. We're bringing in a million. Is it a year? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
we're
about
bringing in
that.
a Birmingham a year. We're bringing in a Birmingham a year. Yeah. So.
Oh, I said it's about a million, something like that. Who knows actually how much we're bringing in? So, look, flee the UK. So your take is flee the UK. Your take is go to Eastern Europe. I've told you in the past, I couldn't go there because, for one, I couldn't speak the language. This is a fucking barrier. If I can't talk to girls here and get, you know, and sort it all out, what fucking chance have I got in Serbia? Plus these Slavic women, they're like abrupt. They're like, they act a bit like your mother. I mean, stop me where you think I'm wrong or whatever. They look at you like,
Well, I mean, you're a kickboxer, right? So I mean, you've got
yeah.
you know, you've got enough testosterone to reproduce, right? I think you do quite well in Eastern Europe. I think, you know, the feminism hasn't reached Eastern Europe as much as it has in the West. So
Yeah.
just be by being physically fit and healthy, I think you do better in Eastern Europe. I mean, um,
How would it go
yeah,
down though? I mean, right, how would it go down? Because I guess in Serbia, very few people speak English, right?
yeah.
So
Most of them don't. Most of them
SJJ,
don't.
SJJ goes over to Serbia for like a month to try it out, and I go and I'm buying fish at a local fishmonger, and I bump into a Serbian girl, and I go, excuse me, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna say? And what am I gonna
Well, you
say?
have, yeah, you're gonna have to learn some of the language. I mean, that's expected, isn't it? I mean, it's not that hard to learn language. I mean,
Oh, it
once
is.
once you understand the grammar, you'll be all right. Well, you don't. It's all confidence, isn't it? It's a confidence thing, isn't it? If you don't believe in yourself, then it's never going to happen, is it? But I can't believe a kickboxer couldn't learn a language, because it takes a lot of guts to get into a ring and fight.
No,
Right?
it takes a lot of guts. It doesn't take a lot of brains. That's the difference. Speaking of which, I've actually. This is.
I think
funny,
you doubt
mate.
yourself. I think you doubt yourself there, SJJ, because I think you are intellectually intelligent, right? You're not stupid.
So
You understand
no,
stuff.
I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. I think I'm. Here's like a brutal self-assessment. I think I'm above average IQ, but I'm not like in the plus 120 or anything like that range. I'm not an intellectual. I can't cut it. The guy, somebody. I mean, like Colin Liddell will send me an article or something here. So it's just like I don't know. It might be 500 words or something, and I'll be like, this is a bit too much for me, or whatever. What's the gist of it? That's like where I am. I might be a bit higher on, I don't know, verbal IQ, just a tad or something like that, and so I can just like get by. Who knows? But it's not intellectual, so I'd struggle. Speaking of which, it's funny that you mention it. I've just realised, like, I've literally got 26 minutes left to keep up my 60-day streak going on Duolingo. So I'm going to have to do it, right? I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo, so I'm going to have to do it while we're on the stream. So tell me how I can learn a language while I do my Duolingo. Sorry, everybody.
You can. You actually can do Duolingo.
I've got a 60-day streak to keep up here. Just a minute. Él es de Mexico means he is from Mexico. Correct.
Soy de Cuba.
Soy de Cuba means I am.
Why are you learning Spanish? So you see, you're learning Spanish. Are you a secret passport bro? There's something within you that's a passport bro, right? SJJ. There's like there's a passport bro within you subconsciously. That's the reason you're learning Duolingo in Spanish.
Well,
right?
What I yearn for actually is better weather. If there's one thing that could extract me from the UK, then it would be the weather. 100%.
You live in Thailand. You lived in Thailand for a bit, right?
So yes, I lived in Thailand for a bit. I'm gonna tick on this. Can't speak right now. So
didn't you?
Sorry.
Go on. What did you think of the weather that you?
So you're cutting out a bit, Stephen.
Did you learn any Thai?
Hold on, Stephen is cutting out. He's roboting.
Did you?
Stephen, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Stephen?
I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. What were you asking about Thai?
So I was saying you lived in Thailand for a while. So did you enjoy the climate there? Did you like it?
Honestly, no. It kind of sucks, does the weather? It's great because it's hot, but it's humid. So that's like not tropical and hot isn't great, but it's better than here. That's the difference. It's better than here. And on the islands, it's not that bad because, there's a breeze and so it's not that bad. But Thailand in particular doesn't necessarily have great weather because they basically have what is it, like 2 months of just rain if you're there when it's just raining.
Did you feel healthier though in Thailand? Like the humidity
Oh,
helps sweat out a lot of toxins, doesn't it?
well, that was probably like my peak health. So yeah,
Mm, mm.
my peak fitness.
So
So
you're yearning to be a passport bro. So why haven't you made the plunge? Just, I mean, let me ask you a question yesterday on like a serious note, right?
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
go on.
seriously believe you have a future? Do you seriously believe there is a white future in Britain? Like, honestly, do you think there is?
What I think the way that I've put it to you in the past is that I like to believe that we have a temporary problem and that this immigration problem can be sorted out and can be turned around. And I think we have to believe this, otherwise we suffer from extreme, hyper demoralization. Now, the alternative is what you'll tell me is that yes, that's demoralization, but it's the reality. So, I mean,
It's
I'm
actually the only thing that's I've been through the demoralization, and I think that it's a grieving process, and um, you can get through it. And basically, the black pill sets you free, because while we're in a state of copium, we're going to be continually disappointed. We won't be able to make any progress. I think in terms of demographics, most of the white people in Britain are boomers. So once they die, we will be a minority by default, even if there is no more immigration coming in. Even if we closed our borders tomorrow, we'd still be a minority eventually, just because of the trajectory, the fact that birth rates and white people are mainly in care homes, and brown people are in nurseries. So it's an inevitability that we will become a minority, even without one more migrant wouldn't affect that. So I think you have to accept you're going to be a minority regardless. So what can you do about that? And I think the only thing we can do is go to lands that are not cut by the gay, and we can then build communities and assimilate and try and strengthen our position. I can't see any way forward electorally. It doesn't even matter if Nigel Farage wins, right? Because even if he wins or Reform get in, uh, most of our population are boomers. So once they die, we can't, we it's not even illegal. Once the boomers die, well, that's it. We're going to be 40%, aren't we? So, um, I mean, surely you know this, right, Esther? You know the demographics. You know how it works, right? Most of our population is old, over 60,
yeah,
and
obviously. But here's the thing, right? I've just looked it up. Serbia's birth rate is 1.63. That is well below replacement too. So what? So like maybe right
yeah, but
now
it's white.
they
But
might,
it's white.
but they're going to they're suffering the same. Obviously the same fate of modernity plus feminism plus liberalism or whatever is affecting them too, to the point that they've stopped having babies. So what are they gonna do? I mean, look, in the 1970s, it was three. No, actually, fucking hell. In 1968, Serbia was below replacement rate then, but it's gone up a bit. There's a little uptick from it was 1.52 in 2021. How is Serbia replacing itself at these birth rates then?
Well, most of the people that have left have Serbian children. So a lot of them went after the war. You got to remember there was a war in the 1990s, and a lot of them went to Germany and Canada and stuff like that, and they can come back, right? Because they still hold Serbian passports. That's the first thing I'd say. Second thing is that 1.5 is Serbian. Our 1.44 isn't white British. I'm sure you've seen the statistic that only 55% of white British births are white British. last year. The ONS actually published that data. They said
Yeah.
55% of births were white British. So that's all you need to know, isn't it? That's the trend. So if 55% births, we're going to be at 55% regardless, aren't we? Because that's the birth rate. So yes, they have a low birth, they have a below replacement, but at least they're still an ethno state. And I would argue that out of our 1.44, most of that comes out of the Asian British populations. I think we're below 1. I think we're about 0.8 in terms of white British replacement, because a lot of the Muslim families in Britain have 3 or 4 children. A lot of our people don't have any children, so I think we're probably at 0. I think we're at South Korea levels for our own people in Britain, and yeah, that's it. We're going to be, and then on top of that, you add a Birmingham a year, 500,000 people leave the country a year, and then you have 400,000 deaths a year. So how can you tell me that we're not going to be a minority? Because the boomers are dying out, the young people are leaving, we're importing 1 million a year, and we can't, and we're at 0. We're at 1 point, we can't replace ourselves. So how can Nigel Farage or anyone else solve that? They can't. Simple maths, isn't it? It's maths.
So that's the very black-pilled view of it, obviously. Look, I accept everything that you've said. You're probably right about those birth rates being much, much lower, because, yes, when it's 1.44, a lot of those are Pakistanis and Indians in the UK reproducing. So the birth rates are pretty dire. Yeah, like Richard Spencer says, it's baked into the cake. Except for some, few. I am not a collapse bro, so I don't think that society is going to collapse. I don't think that we're going to have a power cut and a chimp out and then kick the buggers out and fix the country like that. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think we can slow the change, and then with some policies, I would like to see, my plan for the future would be that at some point somebody has to come. This would be post-reform, post-Nigel Farage or something. Sometime in the 2040s when things are looking dire. At some point, somebody is going to have to appear who can make the case that, the English people are a people who deserve to exist into the future, and this is the true case for diversity.
So do you accept that we are going to be a minority inevitably, right? You accept that?
I don't accept it, but I can see it on the cards. Yeah, yes, that is the current trajectory.
No, but it's irreversible, right? I mean, you can't.
Well, nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible with a will, bro. I mean, come on. We've got to believe that.
But how are you going to get white people to have 7 or 8 children? I mean, they can't even afford that. Most of our people can't afford houses. How are they going to then? You're going to say people can't afford to get mortgages, but they're going to have 10 kids. It's not going to happen, is it? I mean, the reality is that our people have been priced out of the housing market, and because of immigration. And look, the reality is that if we have 200,000 white British births a year, and we import 1 million Browns in, and those Browns have kids, we're going to be a minority. And we are a liberal country. Liberalism is. You're a classical liberal, right? You're a classical liberal. Classical liberalism has got us to this point, hasn't it? It's got us to this point. We're fucked.
Well, no, not necessarily. No. Modern liberalism in the sense of uber liberalism on steroids has got us to this point. All the damage has been done in the last 60 years. Let's be honest about this. That's
liberalism. That's liberalism, though, isn't it?
No,
It's
but our
liberalism.
countries. I was trying to say to this on the last talk about this on the last stream a bit. If you think about America, America was founded like with the the founding ideas of liberty, liberty for all, and the founding ideas of basically liberalism in it, liberalism, but not liberalism on steroids today, not wokeism, none of this shit. And it worked for like a couple of hundred years. Everything worked for a couple of hundred years. We're just in this most disruptive phase of history. I think it is all to do with the modern age of technology and media, which has completely
No, but SJ,
vibe
answer
shifted
me
the
this.
culture.
Like,
Yes, go on.
be honest with me. Just be honest with me for a second, right? I know
Yes.
you, I respect you, by the way. I'm not. I'm being honest with you, right? So
Yep.
answer me this: if you're if our it's not so our demographic, we're about 70% white British in UK, and that's people go, oh yeah, we're still a majority.
Mm-hmm.
The issue isn't that we're 70% white British. The issue is that we were 98% 30 years ago. We've dropped off 20% in 30 years. So it's the
Yes.
trend, isn't it? Right?
Yes.
So how, and if most of that 70% is boomers, right? Say 30% of that 70% is boomers, and we're
Yes.
bringing in 1 million people a year, and 500,000
Yes.
people of our own people are leaving, becoming passport bros like me, then how the fuck can we actually become a majority? Like, I just on the numbers, just not thinking about the
Right.
politics. I'm just thinking about
Well,
the
I mean, the
data.
answer's in the question. The answer's in the question that it took 30 years to get into this state. It didn't really. It actually probably took like the last. Most of the damage has been done in the last 15 years. And so, if such damage can be done in such short time, the reverse could happen. All it would take is a will to change it. We saw, what
You
was
seriously
it?
think that Nigel Farage is going to deport, millions of people a year? I mean, that's a massive operation. I mean, that's a military task. How is Nigel
Not
Farage going
really. Not
to?
really. No,
What? How
it's
you?
not.
So you're gonna go to Bradford and start deporting Muslims? It's going to be that would be a war, wouldn't it? That would be a war.
No, so the way that it would logically and realistically play out is a policy of incrementalism. And so first of all, we have millions of immigrants who are first generation immigrants, meaning they were born in another country and they've traveled here and are now living in the country, who have committed crimes. These people are foreign criminals within our society. That's a lot of people. It's easy to make the argument that those people can go home and should go home. They've already committed crimes. So that's the first instance. Once you do that, then then you can look at other things. But that's the first step, as well as fixing the problem of incoming numbers, right?
Right. But I mean, what if they don't want to go?
Well, these are foreign criminals. They have no choice about it. You can cancel their
Hmm.
visas and they go back.
Do you not think liberalism is? Do you not think liberalism is the issue here, though? The fact that most of our people are quite happy to import legal immigration. If they come here legally, that's okay. They've got to go through the proper channels. I would argue that's
Yeah, but at the end of the
because
day, that's every country in the world.
yeah,
The only reason Serbia isn't full of immigrants is because it's basically got a shit economy or had a shit economy. It might be maybe you'll tell me it's okay now, but it's basically not been attractive to economic migrants. Therefore, it is the state. It is what it is. I know
yeah,
that
but at least they're not being replaced.
I know, but I'm just saying at some point it become if it
Do
does
you
become
prioritize? Would you prioritize the economy over race? Then? Would you say that race is less important than economics?
would I
Who
say
cares about the
races?
economics? I don't care about the GDP, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I care about living in an ethno state. So don't you want to live in an ethno state? Would you? Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you rather have half the GDP and live in an
Wait,
ethno state, or live in a multicultural society with the current GDP?
well, in a weird way, it I mean, people don't want to hear this, but in a weird way, it is that it's got to be both. I mean, I've got to be able to live. You can do it because you are basically one of these digital nomads. You can make your money online, and so and you. I mean, you don't have to tell me like the particulars of your business, but the ideal way for a digital nomad is that he makes his money in English pounds or US dollars, and then goes and lives in a tin pot country where the cost of living is very low, and so he has a high income whilst living in a low income country. That's the ideal. This is how Passport Bros make it work. The flip side of the coin is that unless you have that digital nomad income, basically you're earning your money in the US or Europe, and so it goes a lot further in your country. If you don't have that, then you are, subject to the economy that you live in, which has a low cost of living, but also depressed wages.
No, I understand that. Yeah, so I earn GBP, right?
There we
But
go. There we go.
you
You've got
know,
the sweet
but
spot.
yeah. So, but why not? Why can't Is that's not a bad thing? I mean, I'm helping the local economy, aren't I? I'm spending my pounds in the local economy, aren't I?
Yes.
So, I
But what
mean,
I mean
they're
is
beneficial.
you're being paid UK rates. Your wages are in UK according to the UK economy. If you're selling your wares, in the UK economy, but your cost of living is, you know,
Isn't that the smart thing to do,
so,
though? Isn't it smart to earn good money and
I
live?
agree. It's smart. I agree. I agree. You've cracked the code of like the cost of living game. I see a lot of digital nomads doing this and going to Thailand. In fact, there's a bunch of them on the internet. I make my money basically online doing this X, Y, and Z, and I live in a condo in Bangkok for $500 a month. There's loads of
Banging cock.
videos on. Ah. Yeah, but they
I
look.
make my living. I live in a condo in Bangkok, banging cock. There you go.
Yeah, but what you don't. Yeah, but they look female from the waist up, so it's okay.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, I think moving to a low income country on a high income salary is why the fuck would you not do that? I mean, let me ask you a question, SJJ. Why haven't you done that?
Well, because for one, I don't have any. I can't make money online. I'm not a tech bro. I can't sell people internet or whatever the fuck you guys do. Sell people services on how to fix their fucking printer or whatever it is. Here's my tech support call line, and what you do is you ring and you answer. Have you tried putting any paper in it, love? Yes, okay. Get back to me later, and you get charged people $50 for that. I don't know what the fuck these digital nomads do, but obviously I haven't cracked the code. I can't do that. Probably because I have ADHD. So what it would be for me is if I went to Serbia, I'd be like a lifeguard, earning lifeguard's wages.
But again, though, you're thinking in the materialistic terms, right? I mean, yeah, you might be earning lifeguard
Right.
wages. You might be earning lifeguard wages in an Eastern European country, but at least you'd be in a white country. I mean, this is the problem with the West, isn't it? It's all materialism. Don't get me wrong. Like I appreciate the fact that I earn GBP salary in a low income country, but
Yeah.
I'd rather help a white country. With my salary, I'm helping stimulate the economy here, right? So rather invest my money in a country that doesn't want to actively genocide me
Yeah,
than
here,
the
here,
UK.
here are all the tutorials. By the way, if you're interested, people, look here, like digital nomad step by step. I don't know what this guy's telling you how to vlog. Do you have any idea, Stephen, what these
I think a
courses
lot of these
are?
guys work in digital. A lot of these guys work in digital marketing, don't they? They're selling you, I don't know, cock enlargement surgery or something. I don't know, but
Yeah. Why I
yeah.
quit my dream life as a digital nomad and returned to the USA. Oh, she got banged out abroad. That's why. Definitely. Oh my god.
She got threesomed.
Yeah.
No, but seriously,
Hey,
but
actually,
obviously, it's not just people think of digital nomads going to Thailand. I mean, Thailand is a degenerate shithole of a country. I mean, I think going to places like Hungary or Serbia or Slovakia or whatever. I think there are places you don't have to be a complete degenerate, right?
shall we find out why she quit? Why I'm
Let's
quitting?
find out.
The reasons in no particular order why I've decided to stop being a digital nomad right now.
Is because she's not a guy. So she's not. You're not suited for the lonesome life. It's in the name, really, isn't it? Nomad.
The first one is slow travel. Slow travel can mean anything to you. Slow
What?
could mean 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. But I think for me, it now means staying in one place for years at a time, or having like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 home bases that I rotate between. And to do that, you really need to have a residency in another country, ideally citizenship there. And because of my past
That's an interesting one. Citizenship is actually hard to get, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Unless you're
is, yeah,
married. You've got yours probably through marriage, right? I mean, I'm just
yeah,
guessing.
and property, yeah, property and marriage.
Property in marriage. There is this outfit on the internet. Nigel Farage's actually been part of it. He's spoken at it, and what are they called? I can't think. It'll come to me. They help you get set up abroad. I've actually looked into it to see what it is that they're talking. Buying second passports, buying a citizenship by investment,
Yeah, basically, yeah.
this kind of thing. But this costs like hundreds of thousands of pounds to invest in a country, right?
Yeah, but basically, so if you set up a company abroad, if you want to move to Serbia, basically you set up a company and then you pay, you become self-employed. If you can work online, you pay local taxes, Serbian taxes, and yeah, you get a temporary visa, and then after a while, after 2 years, you get residency. But yeah, no, it's not
After,
easy. It's not
yeah,
easy.
it's not easy. Let's see what else she has to say. Yeah.
of traveling so much, I never really needed residency because I never stayed anywhere long enough to need it. And so I've been thinking a lot about which countries I would get residency in or citizenship, as I talked about in another video. It's a long story, but that would probably be in Europe. And I think balancing time between Europe and the US is what would be ideal for me. I don't want to live here.
She hasn't got a clue. She doesn't know what she wants. There's these guys like top 5 cheapest digital nomad hubs for 2025. 5 cities, $1,000 a month. The problem for me, Stephen, is though, right, that I am in a cushy situation where I'm living rent free, basically. So for me to get off my ass and do something else, I would suddenly have to start paying rent. And so,
Yeah, but are you actually happy though?
well, I'm content in a way. I'm content for now.
Watching your civilization collapse around you.
But,
I think if I was you, I think I would. I don't want to develop. I think you have a house, right? I think I'd sell that house, and then
yeah, I
I'd
can't
find,
do. I can't. That's the catch. I can't technically do that right now. So
okay. So, have you
my
got any
parents have
transferable skills?
my parents are basically giving me a house, but I'm living in it. But I don't technically have the right to sell it yet.
Right. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Do you think you could have a family?
I'm very just a minute. I'm very lucky, by the way. I understand that anybody hearing that will think, "Fucking LSJJ, you cushy twat." You know, what on earth do you have to moan about? Holy shit, because I understand that rent, you know, is like the killer, particularly of Zoomers out there. So I fully appreciate how lucky that makes me, you know, and so I think about it every single day. So don't think I don't get how, you know, that puts me in like, I don't know, the 1% of Zoomers without that headache of having to, you know, half my wage or more going on rent a month.
So do you think that you can envision yourself having a white family in Britain? Do you think you can have children in Britain?
Well, yeah, actually, in my circumstance, because I already have a house. I mean, you'd think they'd be queuing up, wouldn't you? You'd think they'd be lined up because
they're all queuing up at the door there, SJJ. They're all waiting. They all
just need to go and let them in.
Please
Actually,
breathe with me.
Claire Core has offered to interview potential girlfriends for me, so maybe I should take her up on it. But look, in all seriousness, in my situation, the main problem, the main difficulty towards having a family is the cost of supporting somebody, because the cost of rent is through the roof. So if there's not that cost to have to, you know, pay for, which I have, you know, I'm basically living in a house rent free. At some point, you know, it'll, you know, be fully mine. So basically, I could just move somebody in, and, you know, it sounds crass, but I could just move somebody in and start breeding, and she could just live here, you know, cost free. As long as my wage could pay for the diapers.
Do you blame people? Let me ask you a question. Do you blame white young males for wanting to leave?
No, I don't know. I don't blame anybody for that. Absolutely not.
Do you understand why they would want to?
Yeah, absolutely. I even understand it, why people would want to leave just for the weather, like I've told you.
But do you not think that they also don't see a future? Do you think a lot of young white males don't see a future in Britain? Like, realistically?
Well, I don't know how true that is. I don't know how many consider it, really. Maybe the red-pilled ones. I mean, I talked about this on the other stream, that getting red-pilled really is like the process. It could better be described as the process of demoralization. Because, yes, there's some benefits to getting red-pilled. You learn, that, like, your Uber Eats driver probably stole your food, and, you learn to cross the street when you see, a certain group of lads on the other side of the street coming towards you, and you learn, like, these things that are valuable lessons in life that other people walk head first into, and end up putting their foot in pitfalls. You learn this stuff, but you become deeply demoralized.
But let me ask you a question there, shit. Like, do you seriously believe do you think you can raise a healthy, large white family in Britain in 2024? Like, for most people, can most people do that? Is that a realistic objective? Can most people raise a young can most people buy a house and raise 3 or 4 kids in a healthy way?
Well, you can do it. Actually, the state will pay for your children, basically, once you've had them. The state doesn't allow you. I don't think there's anybody with children living homeless on the street. So, effectively, what you'll be forced into is a poor existence. I get it. This is the reason why people are delaying having families, because of the cost of living. So you're hitting on all the right points. You're telling me all the right things, and nothing what you're saying is wrong. So yes, that's right. But there's
But how?
also
But
this.
how can they? How can they?
How can they
How
can just start
how
having them? They can just start doing it, and then the state will fund you. Basically, the state will make
yeah, but
sure that your
will they?
children aren't hungry.
Yeah, but I
Well,
mean, is that
people want
we
a
don't
nicer life.
white people don't think like that. We know that we're not like other races where we just breed for the sake of it, right? We plan ahead. You know, we want to invest in our children, so we don't just have breed and then hope for the best. We
Yeah,
try
so that's
to,
a cultural
yeah.
thing. That's a cultural thing. This is people wanting more, believing that they should have more, and therefore delaying these life choices, and then those life choices like running away from them or whatever. Getting away from them. Like, look, the
But
truth of
isn't
the
that a
matter.
consequence? Isn't that a consequence of liberalism? Isn't that
Yes,
a
yes,
consequence of liberalism?
yes, it is. Yeah, 100%.
So as a classical liberal, doesn't that isn't that a contradiction in what you want to achieve and what the ideology you hold,
Well,
and the results you want?
well, no, because Britain, basic. Look, I'm also a racist liberal, so like bear that in mind. So I mean, look,
I know,
ba-
but you can't
basically,
really be a racist liberal because liberalism we end up here. Like
no,
when people, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but
come on.
when people say we want to go back to the 1950s, we end up here every time, don't we? This is where we end up under liberalism, isn't it?
Yeah, but
This
I
is
am
where
a
we end
lib.
up.
Listen, I'm a liberal of the 1930s, basically. That's what I guess I am. With who's also a futurist, by the way, because I believe in the future. I don't believe in that. We need to become Luddites and break the technology and live in fucking Trumpton, like academic agent says. Throw away all our screens. Do never look at the internet again because it corrupts your brain, and all this kind of stuff, all this fantasy LARPing about trad LARPing. It's never going to happen. It's only going to be for like, I don't know, basically the Amish in Pennsylvania in America. That's literally who that lifestyle is for. The rest of us live in modernity. The rest of us are downstream of liberalism, but liberalism effectively worked, which was like conservative liberalism, worked for hundreds of years until it didn't, until it became infected with this woke ideology, which is something else. That is, and everything is the product of that in the last
So
like 40 years or something.
do you think that we're in late stage liberalism?
No, we're in progressivism. It's a different thing, isn't it? We call it
Yeah, which is
liberalism.
but isn't it late stage? We're in late stage, whatever. Okay, so we're in late stage enlightenment.
We are in progressivism poisoned liberalism. Yeah, we're in race communism.
Basically, we're in Bolshevism. No, I
Woodlander's
think
right. Woodlander's right with all his criticisms of modernity. Obviously, like it makes us deracinated. It makes us, those of us who like wake up and become red pilled about the state of the country and the world, look around and we think, fucking hell, the country's going to shit, and what can we do about it? And the state of modernity is a headache. But we're in the
would you not agree though?
most. Hold on, hold
Would
on.
you not agree? Yeah, go
Hold
ahead.
on. We're in the most disruptive phase of cultural history because of media. I remind everybody that the smartphone only basically ended up in everybody's hands 10 years ago. I know that's hard to actually believe. It's only been 10 years, but now everybody's glued to it. Everybody has it in their pocket. The first iPhone came out in 2007. The rest of the world didn't really get them until like 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. This is when people started having iPhones. This rapidly transformed society differently. Suddenly everybody has access to the internet in their hand. suddenly everybody around the world can look, in
Agreed.
their hand
Agreed.
at
So
our
why why
countries.
why why are you shilling for futurism then?
Because it just is what it is. We can't put it back. We
No, but
can't
you
put the
advocate for
toothpaste back
futurism.
into the tube.
How can you advocate for futurism when you know it's fucking up our society? You
Because
know that.
you can't put technology away. You can't forget that it exists.
Yeah, but you don't
Not
have to
without
advocate for it, do you?
not without some kind of calamity. Armageddon sending us literally back into the Stone Age. If we
Yeah,
don't
but maybe
maintain
maybe
the tech,
I'm not saying I'm a primitive either, but what I'm saying is that we don't. In terms of, I'm just being practical about solutions. So I'm saying, let's be honest. SJ, would you agree that in order for Britain to be saved, we would need a spiritual rebirth of the country, right? You would say that we need a spiritual rebirth, right? How would we get a spiritual rebirth under a technological theocracy like we live under now? I mean, how can you do you not
oh,
do
that's a
you not
hard one.
think do you not think we do you would you agree we need a spiritual rebirth of the nation? Would you agree? Because right now we are just an economic. Would you agree that we're just an economic zone with a flag, right? You'd agree with that, right? So we're an economic
Temporarily,
zone. Yeah,
yeah, with a
we're
long, rich history and tradition.
yeah, but we're still an economic zone, aren't we? We're just an economic zone at the end of the day, right? I mean, if anyone could be British, then being British means absolutely nothing. So if
Agreed.
anyone, yeah, if anyone in the world can come to Britain and get a British passport, then being British means nothing. So therefore, we are just an economic zone. We're a transactional society, which comes out of liberalism. And I would argue that in order to fix this situation, we need a spiritual rebirth. And I'm asking you,
Yeah, here we
can we
go.
get that?
Woodlander says, define it. Define spiritual. Then, what do you mean?
We need to go back into who we are.
So, what is it? Orthodox Christianity? Is that what you're saying? What are we going to do? Or
No, I think
start
I think I,
worshipping?
I think I think we need to rediscover. I think we need to get back in touch with our roots, our race. We need to become racial conscious. We need
What
to
are we going
become
to do? Become
British.
become druids, and start fucking parading around Stonehenge? I mean, what is
So
it?
what
What
do you
is
think? So yeah. So what's your solution then? I think we need to go back to our ancestral roots, which is Christianity and paganism. I don't discount paganism, but I also don't discount Christianity. I believe we need Christianity and paganism. What do you believe
No, it's
we can
not going to
do?
happen.
Okay, so how do you save
It's
the
not
white
going to
race?
happen.
You say how do you save
I know the
Britishism?
I know the Christians don't want to hear it. It's not going to happen. Britain is not a religious country. I mean, culturally Christian. We derive our morality basically from the Old Testament. You all believe you shouldn't murder, you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't have sex with your neighbour's wife, and all these things. Basically, that's cultural Christianity that's imprinted on you. You've got your morals from that. So, like it or lump it, you're like a cultural Christian.
Yeah, but
I
how do
get
you
it. But
how do
nobody
you
goes to
say?
church. The
So
churches
you
are
don't think
shut. They're dead.
so? So you think that futurism is going to save white Britain?
I think the only way out is through. I mean, what's the alternative, right? Technological advance is rapidly happening. Unless there's some worldwide moratorium on stopping AI, then technology is just going to keep rapidly advancing. We can't
So
stop it because foreign countries like China would not honor a pause in this advancement. So it is a technological arms race that we're in right now. So just to answer the questions head on, there's no stopping it, even if you wanted to.
well, isn't that liberal by definition? Because surely, if AI and the technological revolution is going to happen inevitably, then surely we are just all going to be the same. There's not going to be any culture. No, there'll be no
Uh,
culture.
it is hard to. It is. I think it is as hard to predict the future right now. I think it is as hard to predict the next 20 years as it would have been to predict, the Industrial Revolution before it kicked off. I really do. So, how society will go over the next 20 years is really difficult to say. I mean, in a weird way, I have like a conspiracy theory. It sounds a bit crazy, but I often wonder to what extent our elites have put all their chips like on AI solving everything. That it will like give us the answers to everything. And so, they're okay with like just borrowing money. They're okay with just like filling us up with temporary workers, and and let some of them like believe that like all we have to do is race, put the pedal flat to the fucking floor to get to the AI to like give us all the answers how to fix everything, and then we can undo all the damage.
It doesn't matter if they put their foot to the floor. This is about ethics, right? So, is this right or not? Ethics, yeah. So, yeah, of course we should evolve technologically, potentially, but why? This is an arms race to the bottom, surely.
I don't think the people at the. Do you think the tech bros believe that though, or do you think they honestly believe that it will be a revolution that will positively affect humanity? I do think they're well-meaning.
You think the elites are well-meaning? Shit.
No, come on. Let me clarify that. Even, do you think that in his own heart, Stalin believed he was well-meaning? Everybody thinks they're doing the right thing, and so they have visions. I mean, unless you're.
I think so, but I think.
Right. So therefore, it's just a different set of incentives and a different kind of vision that you like have for it. But everybody.
Yeah, but people on our side would fundamentally disagree with their utopian worldview, right? we
I agree there are elites who have agendas that are not in our native ethnic interests.
Right, so isn't that like, doesn't that mean they're your enemy then? That would mean by default they're your enemy.
Sure, I absolutely would not wish for some ethnic group who has like, historical animus towards us just based on like, historic grievances against white supremacy or whatever, to like enact their grievances out. Absolutely.
You believe that the tech bros have what the white race's interests at heart? Be honest. Do you think they do? Or they don't?
No, I think most of them are I think someone like Elon Musk is at heart a meritocrat. But I also think that based in that is a belief that like the West is the best. And so implicit in that is knowledge that like Western civilization, which is implicitly white civilization, can't be allowed to collapse. Surely.
Yeah, but Western civilization as it currently stands isn't white, is it? But Western civilization as it currently stands is not white. It's a mix. It's a multicultural experiment that's been imposed on us. Would you not agree that when we talk about Western civilization in 2024, we're talking about a very different Western civilization than was
No, we're
before
not.
us?
We're talking about the Anglosphere. Right.
Well,
we're talking about the Anglos.
So you think the Anglos run the West currently?
Yeah,
You think Anglos?
Well, no, the Anglosphere. They all speak English. That's all what I'm talking about.
They speak English. All right, okay. But that's not an ethnic state, is it?
No, America is, I get it, a big hodgepodge now of whites, a large chunk of them Germanic, a large chunk of them old, WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, a lot of them Germans, few Italians, and whatever, and they've all been, milling around on that continent for a couple of 100 years, and there's something else entirely now with these like roots in. So I get that. But these are all people who are speaking English. These are all people with their roots in literal liberalism, as in the
I speak
ideals.
English. I speak English. I just English as you.
No, those are Chinese. Those are Mexicans. I mean, we're not counting them right now. What we're
Do you not
talking
think
about
that? Do you not think that? Do you
the
not think?
West.
Do you not think the
Hold on.
Anglosphere is the problem, though? Do you not think that because everyone wants to learn English and because everyone wants to speak
Yeah,
English,
yeah. That's
that's a problem for our people?
It is, because when they learn English I get it, when they learn English in Nigeria, where's the first place they think about coming? It's the UK or America. I get it, yeah.
So
But
I think
also,
that
it's our
yeah,
colonial legacy. So at once and the same time, we've colonized the world with English. Just think about it. This little island colonized the world via our language. People, all across the globe, when they think in their head, they're thinking in English. And these people are all the product of basically the Enlightenment out of England. And it worked for a long period of time. It set up the best governance systems around the country for a long period of time. We've just come unstuck in like the last 40 years with this progressivism, infected race communism shit. That's such a recent phenomenon.
no, it is, but doesn't it not? Does it not stem out of individualism and liberalism? Because liberal ideals have taught us that we are not part of a group. We are just. Why is it always the white man has to think out group and every other race thinks in group? Do you not think that we are being gaslit here and as a people? Because every other race gets to be part of their racial in group, right? And us, we have to embrace every other culture. I mean,
Yeah.
globo homo. If I go to London or Birmingham or Manchester or any city in the UK, I can
Yeah.
see Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Slop, right? I can see. That doesn't represent me or my ethnos, does it? That's not me. That doesn't represent me. Why do I have to? Why do I have to embrace all these other cultures? Why can't they embrace my culture? If they're in my country, why can't they embrace my culture? Do you not think that's an issue of liberalism?
That's the issue of progressivism. That's like the recent race communism shit. And really, it's like, in a weird way, it's a product of almost. It's a weird form. Get this. Try and believe me when I say it's a weird form of white supremacism. We're believing. It's like our liberal lefty women and elites literally believe that we are so so perpetual, as white people and as a race, that we're unbreakable, that we're untouchable, that no harm can come to us as a group. They don't even consider it, such that we can admit any kind of foreigner in, we can do any kind of good, we can do all this diverse shit without any harm to the group whatsoever. It's like this ultimate implicit belief in us as being superior in a weird way.
Yeah, no,
Whereas
it kind of,
whereas it
yeah,
yeah, whereas in another
yeah, I
country,
agree.
like we were talking about Kemi Badenoch the other day, how she's like Yoruba first. She's like, I'm not even a Nigerian. I am Yoruba. The Boko Haram in the north, they are my ethnic enemies. They are my ethnic enemy. We are Yoruba, because that is having a low opinion of your own ethnicity in a way like that it's under threat. Our elites are so like confident in us that they think we can suffer any amount of like dilution, you know, foreign inclusion, etc. So it's weird.
Yeah, every time we take a Filipino doctor, we take a doctor from their country, right? It's almost racist. The liberal ideology the neoliberal ideology is in itself racist, because every time we take a Filipino doctor, guess what? They stay in perpetual poverty because a doctor has been taken from their country. No, I think neoliberal materialism has destroyed our people's spirit, and it's going to be very difficult to rejuvenate that spirit. And
So isn't you're telling me Serbia isn't liberal, right? Is this what you're
no,
saying?
it's not liberal. It's not liberal.
Do they have a left wing and a right wing?
They have a communist party and a fascist party, basically.
Oh, right.
So,
And who's in
yeah, it's
charge? Who's in charge, by the way?
Vucic,
And
the
he
fascist.
is the
Fascist.
fascist. Isn't
Fascist.
that just basically pro-Russian stooges, though?
Yeah,
Let's hit the elephant in the room right here.
yeah, he
Serbia
is.
is a former is basically a Russian satellite state, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A proud Russian satellite. It is. It's a proud Russian satellite, and do you not think that Russia? I mean, I know you're pro-Ukraine, but I mean, I think Ukraine is, you know, I mean, I don't know. You've been watching too many
Well,
waifu videos.
we don't have to have the Russian argument. I mean, I've had it about 4 times now in the last 2 days. But if
Yeah,
I
no,
was
I
going to
mean, I don't.
steel man your argument,
I think that
yeah,
this war in Ukraine is an
yeah.
ideological struggle. It's not about Ukraine. It's an ideological struggle between nativist tendencies and fascism, and neoliberal values. And obviously, as a white person, a white British person, I don't want neoliberal values to win out.
The problem with that analysis, though, is it's belied by the fact that Russia says it's denazifying Ukraine, isn't it?
I mean, who's funding them? Do you mean? Who's
No,
funding the
but
Azov
it is, isn't
battalion?
it? That yeah, but I mean,
We're funding Nazis. We're funding Nazis. Do you not think that's a red herring, though? Do you
but
seriously believe?
but let me hold you to what the claim that you were making. You were saying you think it's like fascism, which you consider to be like Russian trad values or something in Serbia versus Western liberalism. But yet Russia is is literally invading a country under the banner of denazification, which is like an Antifa cause.
I mean, they don't. They don't. Yeah, they're trying to defeat liberalism because we're funding a proxy war in Ukraine. We're funding proxies like the Azov battalion, and they don't want to be part of the Western hegemony, right? Russia's never been part of the Western. Why do you want Western expansionism, SJ? I mean, it's what has the West done for you and your people? Has it served you well? Has neoliberalism, served you and your family and your race? I don't think it has. So
Well, because it's not a distinction. It's not as a simple binary because like what you're saying, what has liberalism done for you? Basically, I want, like anyone does, Stephen, like you do, like everybody does. We want to be free. We don't want to be oppressed, and and authoritarianism, like in a way, like Colin Liddell has just said here, Putin strengthened neoliberalism by discrediting authoritarianism. When people live under authoritarianism, they don't like it. Their experience is a shitty one. They yearn for freedom. And then when they're in the West and they have excesses of freedom, they fuck up society. And we get a few spurgs, like maybe you, lots of people in the chat, lots of people on the distant right, me in the past, who yearn like for authoritarianism. So it's almost like this swing that can go back and forth. But it's easy,
So
I guess.
do you seriously believe once this war is over in Ukraine, once this war is finished in Ukraine, do you seriously believe that Azov Battalion is going to run Ukraine?
No.
Right. It's going to be Jeets, isn't it? So it's going to be BlackRock.
No,
It's
I
going to be
don't.
BlackRock.
Well,
It's
it'll
going to
be
be
Western
BlackRock, right?
investment.
And it will be Jeets driving the buses and running the factories. And, pride marches in Kiev. That's what will happen. After this war finishes, there'll be pride marches. If Russia doesn't take the whole of Ukraine, gay LGBT marches in Kiev and Jeets running Lviv. That's what will happen.
Yeah,
Because
Ukraine's got fucked by the war. Ukraine's got fucked by the war, and they're going to be rapidly transformed. But the alternative was that they were conquered by a foreign power, coming to literally denazify them. So
you think
I mean, the blame is on Russia.
So what
obviously.
what you're saying is BlackRock is better for Ukraine than Russia.
What I'm saying is that at this stage, obviously BlackRock is better than Russia, because now, I mean, you can't the kind of retribution that will be sought out if Russia is allowed to overrun the country. I mean, the idea that these people should just forget about it and just
Why do you think?
it's insane.
So we sell out Ukraine to Western venture funds, right? Like Vanguard and BlackRock or private equity. Do you think that the Ukrainian people, these nationalists in Ukraine, are going to become? They're going to be, do they want? Did anyone ask the Ukrainian people if they wanted to become part of the Western orbit? No, they didn't. They've been forced because of financial. The state that we're literally propping up that state now, because we're propping it up. They are slaves to the West, so they will have to follow. Western
Come on, this is real Kremlin framing, though.
No. But seriously,
yeah, it is.
Do you seriously believe
no,
Ukraine will have?
Obviously, the post-war is going to be extremely difficult. Obviously, for any nation, but I mean, yes, and it's going to be radically transformed. It's going to struggle, but at least it will still exist. At least it will still exist. This is the difference. So at least it will still exist. I mean, and all the blames.
What? So do you want?
But it won't exist in the alternative.
Do you want Britain to exist in the current format? Do you want Britain to be gay and transgender and multicultural? Do you want to fight for that? What's the point? I don't want to save Britain in its current format. Would you, SJJ? Would you fight for Britain tomorrow? If someone said, "Look, we're going to war now, right? We've got to save our, liberal democracy values or whatever bullshit they can't." Do you seriously think? Would you really be happy? Would you fight for this land? With in its current form, I wouldn't. Would you?
Well, I've already answered that. Yes, I would. So I mean, and let's be clear, I would be the first one called up if the UK went to war. I'm in that age group and that fitness bracket in which undoubtedly I would be the first.
I'd bring you over it. You just throw up a red smoke bomb in the Donbass trenches, and I'll let you defect. You know, no, I'm joking, but I think
No.
I think. But what would you be fighting for?
I'd be fighting for my country, obviously, for the right to exist and to
The right to be
change.
transgender.
No, this is a red herring. I mean, so if the country's invaded tomorrow, just because like we have, you know, some fucky wacky progressivism going on by our elites, we're not supposed to defend the country from foreign invaders, where you literally wouldn't exist if they win. Like if China invades the UK tomorrow, you're saying don't take up arms because for whatever reason life would be better under the foreign dictatorship of a communist leader.
I think
this
I
is
think
insane
that,
thinking.
I think that fighting for a 30% white minority group in Britain would be, worth. I think your officer Mohammed, telling you to go to. I mean, I think. I don't know. What do you want to see happen in Ukraine? Then I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I want Russia to win because I support Russia, and I think that we need to be a counterbalance against, or Russia needs to be a counterbalance against liberalism, Western liberalism. But you obviously want liberalism to thrive, SJJ, and expand its borders. I'm just wondering. I just think. Do you not think it's the current regime in the West wants you gone, right? They want to replace white people, and you want to support the regime. It's just nuts to me. It's like, I mean, Russia isn't gonna fucking trying to genocide its own people. Do you know what I mean? It's not trying to genocide its own people. Yeah. But I guess you have a different perspective. I respect it. It's okay. I just think it's a very
to be clear, what I want, and to be clear, I have a position on Ukraine. I care about the fact that that it's the biggest land war in Europe since the Second World War. White people are being killed. One country is doing the invading. They could go home tomorrow and stop it if they want to. This is why I care. They ask for help. I don't think it's too much effort in this instance because people are literally being invaded in their homes. White people are losing their homes and being invaded and murdered. I don't think it's too much to give them limited funding, which is what it is. It's basically, the Kremlin wanting you to believe that it's like such a big burden upon the UK. It's basically 28 days
Do you think that,
of NHS funding. So I want it to stop, and I want the Russians to go home and stop invading.
Do you think you said before? Do you think the dissident right is? Do you think that most of the dissident right is pro-Russian? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Right. Do you think that's because of? I would say it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you
You'd
think
say you'd say I'm just wrong.
Do you think that's because of?
I'm just wrong.
No. I would say. Do you think it's because of active measures or because of people just don't believe in it? Don't believe in the Western propaganda. Like, do you believe that? Why do you think the DR is so pro-Russian?
So, it's a couple of things. I think that I do think there's active measures going on, and then I think there's a combination of the fact that people were shut down. There was the great censorship, like of the initial alt-right, and it got deplatformed everywhere, and the only place that they could go were basically Russia Today, Press TV, and what was that other one? Whatever. And then there were places like Subscribe Star, and basically Russian platforms were like the only things that would allow people to get through. And so naturally, people kind of have these proclivities towards Russia. Plus, Russian propaganda is great at exasperating, our own criticisms of our own societies within our countries. Obviously, whilst not, affording their own people like with any kind of protection against degeneracy for themselves. Like Russia has astonishing abortion rates. Russia has astonishing alcoholism rates. Russia is no trad society. It's basically a basket case everywhere outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, wearing the skin suit of traditionalism because the West is progressive. And so they know that in Western media, it works as like this undermining force. It works as this like, worm tongue, propaganda to make us think, oh, we should just embrace Russia, Putin is like just trying to do the best by his people. So I think there's a lot of that goes on. But I do struggle when, why people look at what's going on in the Ukraine and they see an aggressive war, they see a country being invaded. There's one country rolling tanks in, there's one country who's in the, in another one, there's one country bombing another every single day, and they take the side of the aggressor. They basically don't blame Russia for anything. They blame everything on Ukraine for getting invaded.
We didn't bomb Iraq, did we?
Well, I don't agree with that war. I don't agree with that war either, actually. I mean, I agree that the American Empire's made some big mistakes.
So would we agree that the American Empire and the Russian Empire both don't serve our people? Both of them.
Well, I mean, they've got their priorities mixed up, haven't they? Just a minute, I'm just switching to my other headphones here. Okay, I can hear you again. We'll wrap up in a few minutes, by the way. We've been going quite a while. How about that?
Yeah, no worries. Would you agree that both the Russian Empire and the American Empire don't have the white race in mind in terms of our future, our destiny?
I'd say they've forgotten a duty yet. That they've forgotten their ethnic duties. Yeah, absolutely. They've definitely took their eye off the ball. The problem with elites is that it doesn't really affect them, and they look at the situation and they think, oh well, we're being diluted. But the main thing is basically our electoral system. Either you subscribe to the fact like that people are sitting in dark, smoky rooms plotting the extinction of the white race, and if you believe that, then there's no point even attempting to change politics. If you don't believe it, if it's something else, then it's basically the way that our politics works, in that it's economy first, and so politicians are like self-serving. They know that if the economy goes, if the line goes down, they're going to be out of a job, and so at any cost, in any destabilization of the economy, they think we have to fucking pump the numbers, and pumping the numbers, like basically for the last 25 years, has been just bringing in immigrants. We can see this with how Boris Johnson, when he realised just how much he'd fucked up the economy through COVID, decided, well, we have to basically fucking pump in a couple of million illegal immigrants to make sure that the line doesn't go down. And hopefully I'll get away with it.
Hopefully will. With some beautiful, Russian rubles, you'll be you'll make propaganda for me, right? Propagandski. Dobro.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I've got to go. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
I just want to say, although we may disagree on the Ukraine-Russia conflict,
Yep.
I think we can shake hands as gentlemen.
Absolutely. Stephen, actually, I think this has been one of the better SJJMASs. I think it's been one of the better conversations so far. It certainly deserves more than 11 thumbs up. It was a very interesting conversation.
I'll get the bot farm on it. I'll get the bot farm.
Yeah, a
So,
bit less silly than some of the others. So, people should have enjoyed this for like the debate of what we had. Yeah, and thank you for coming on.
yeah, thank you for having me, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and God bless you. And
Yeah. Oh, and before you go,
I won't sing a Christmas song. But what I
oh
will do,
fuck,
what I will do is ho ho ho.
ho ho ho, and a demoralized nation to you. Before we go, it's only right. I do let everybody know. I think your link's in the description. Stephen does run spaces on Twitter. He's basically that. My suspicion is he's paid by the Kremlin, and he runs these spaces to
Not enough.
demoralize people. So,
Yeah,
fair warning, fair warning. But if you're into it, he
I'm
regularly runs
hoping to get.
spaces on Twitter.
If everyone can join my spaces, I get a promotion next year, and I'll get 2 bags of potatoes a month. Then I'm only on 1 bag of potatoes at the moment, so
Excellent.
trying to get that promotion. I've got to get into band 7.
Yes. So sometimes I hang out on Stephen's spaces. So if you're on Twitter, follow Stephen Broughton. And again, I think it was one of the better conversations we've had on SJJMAS, the third of the night so far. So thanks for coming on, Stephen.
Thank you, SJ. Everyone, good night.
Good night, everybody.